Hawks fans, I have some potential huge news. Some potential huge news. I'm talking about if this is true, this could truly change everything. The landscape for the Atlanta Hawks, the landscape for the Eastern Conference. Now, it's also a long shot. I wanted to be real with you guys, but I'm telling you, if he becomes available, the Atlanta Hawks may need to kick the tires. Welcome back to Hawks Digest. I am Chris Tip Moore, and in this video, we're surrounding around the front court position. I don't want to necessarily just say the center position because this guy, he can play the center and he can play the power forward. And before I get into it, you already know, just let me get my greetings out the way and my salutes. Salute to everybody who is already subscribed to Hawks Digest. It seems like we're just reaching new plateaus and we're gaining new people. That's wonderful. We love to have you guys at Hawks Digest. But if you are in that new percentile that are finding out about Hawks Digest, you didn't know, but you know now, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and be a part of the Hawks movement and the Hawks family. Now, guys, I have to admit, it's gonna be crazy, man, but you guys like this image right here? That's Jaren Jackson Jr. in a Hawks jersey. Would you guys like that? Well, let's talk about what it'll take to get them. First of all, let's break this down. We already know that the Memphis Grizzlies sent Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, and a plethora of freaking first-round picks, unprotected at that. So Desmond Bane goes for 4 unprotected draft picks, and they get off of that contract. Well, excuse me, they take on Caldwell Pope's contract and also Cole Anthony, but they don't have to worry about trying to pay Desmond Bane now. And people are considering that move like a rebuild type of a move. So, of course, and Brian Windhurst even said it himself, if he was in a Grizzlies press conference, he's immediately asking about Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. Now, the Memphis Grizzlies right now have come out and said that, hey, we want to build around Ja. We want to build around Triple J. But, of course, at any given time, that could change. This is the NBA. This is the league. You never know, depending on the trade packages and everything presented. You never know. You could end up with a player like Triple J. But again, what will it take to get Triple J to Atlanta? Well, guys, I have not only one scenario, I have 2. So let's start with the first one. First one will be a 3-team trade. This is what it's looking like. Let's start from the bottom because there's a lot going on. The Memphis Grizzlies would receive Kobe Buffkin, Vit Krejci, Mo G, Nick Claxton, a 2025 first-round pick via Atlanta, yes, our 13th overall pick, 2027 first-round pick via Milwaukee and New Orleans Pelicans. Of course, that's that least favorable between the two. Hopefully, both will suck by then and we just get a good draft pick anyway. But that's neither here or there. Of course, like I said, protected 1 through 4. 2028 pick swap, not another pick swap, man. But it'll be via Atlanta. 2029 first round pick via Atlanta. Unprotected. 2031 first round pick, again, unprotected. Brooklyn Nets, they would receive Terrence Mann's contract. Okay. They would also receive a 2025 first round pick via Memphis. Well, that would be interesting because, of course, that was the Orlando Magic's pick and whatnot as well. No, actually, I'm sorry. That is the Memphis Grizzlies pick. So honestly, that whole scenario would be tough to happen because they traded that off. So it would have to be something else. So that automatically, just because of the framework, it would be hard to happen. But regardless, the Hawks will receive Triple J. Now, I'm already going to tell you guys, I'm good on this because, first of all, we give up way too many assets. Kobe Buffkin, Vit Krejci, Mo G, That's already 3 guys off of your bench. One guy, you're trying to see what he's going to be because you've been holding on to him, hoping for that potential, hoping that he's going to be that baller with that potential that you've seen back in Michigan. Vit Krejci, somebody that's really had his best season, really like last year with the Atlanta Hawks. Moji growing into something, hopefully. Played minutes last year that he wasn't really scheduled to play, but he got in there anyway due to injuries. I'm looking at the fact that your bench just got a little bit weaker. You also gave up Terrence Mann, even though the contract can go somewhere. Uh, Terrence Mann, I said off the bench, I said he was being decent as well too, and Trae likes him as well. Also, let's get these elephants out the room. The draft capital. My goodness, we're giving up this year's 13th pick, and we're also giving up our least favorable in 2027, a pick swap yet again. Then we're also giving up our first round for 2029 and for 2031, and they're unprotected. Like, my goodness. Now, Triple J, I'm gonna get into his stats in 1 second. Before I do, let me move on to the second scenario, because this is not a 3-team trade. This is just Hawks calling up the Grizzlies and saying, hey, we got this. So this is the scenario if it's just the Atlanta Hawks and the Memphis Grizzlies cutting out the middleman, no 3-team trades. Now, of course, the money would be something different, but we're going to get into that. Because, of course, Jaren Jackson is on an expiring rookie contract. He's eligible for an extension, and this right here, honestly, he's eligible for a different extension, eligible for another contract, excuse me. But you think about it, guys. Grizzlies received Terrence Mann's contract. They received Kobe Buffkin. They received Dominic Barlow, 2025 first round pick, 13th overall, and a 2027 first round pick. Of course, so that's at least favorable. We're losing again. 2029 first rounds pick swaps, and a 2030 unprotected first round pick. We receive only Jaren Jackson Jr. Now, it's dangerous, y'all. It's dangerous because at the end of the day, even though I will give you a few stats about Jaren Jackson, last year he averaged 22 and 22.2 points. The second time in a row he averaged 22 because his previous year he averaged 22.5. So he averaged 22.2 this past season. Back-to-back seasons averaging over 5.5 or more rebounds. His assist totals have gone up as well, averaging at least 2 assists per game. 1.2 steals back-to-back years. His percentage, though, from the field is in 23-24, it was 44%. Last year, it was 48, almost 49% because it's at 48.8. So, right there, almost at 49%. Played 74 games, so stayed healthy for the most part. You want that as well. Of course, back in that 2018 draft, first round, 4th overall pick, and you'll be bringing him to Atlanta. His offensive game has gotten better. The Hawks would be interesting on defense, especially keeping Onyeka Okongwu, possibly Okongwu at the 5, because I really believe they want Okongwu to get his opportunity to start. Like, he's been waiting behind Capela. I know that I feel like there's people in the organization that want Onyeka to get at least one season to see what he can do as a full-time starter. I mean, because we've seen what he did in the second half of the season, and the Hawks were a better defensive team, regardless of size and regardless of height, etc. Now, a lot of people would say that the new front office have no ties to Onyeka Okongwu. To be honest with you, this front office has no ties to anyone who is drafted on this team. Anyone. That's including JJ. That's including Zaccharie Risacher. They didn't draft none of these guys. But at the same time, let's not be foolish and say that, hey, they're just going to get rid of talent just to get rid of them. So let's take that with a grain of salt, guys. But regardless, this is the framework. This is the framework, and you see a similar framework. Regardless, we're giving up a lot of assets for Triple J, who is on an expiring deal, but at the same time, it's not guaranteed. What's not guaranteed? It's not guaranteed he'll resign with the Atlanta Hawks. Let's not just assume that he would run to do that. Let's not just assume that we will offer him the right contract to make him want to stay and play with Trae, Risha, and JJ. Because essentially your starting unit would be Oyeka Konwu, Triple J, JJ, and also Dyson Daniels and Trae Young, which means, of course, Zaccharie Risacher. Minutes and production development would also be limited as well because, of course, he's coming off the bench. But it may not be so bad for Risacher, even though I don't want to. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't want to necessarily limit his development, and I don't want to do any kind of hindrance because we took him so high, and I want to see him flourish. But getting a guy like Triple J does make you at least a better defensive team. I think you're interested on offense. He does have the ability to shoot the three. I don't like him shooting threes, but at the same time, this is the new NBA. So big men have to at least be able to pop out and be able to shoot the ball. So it will be interesting. And is there anybody at 13 that is better than Triple J right now? No. But at the same time, will Triple J sign? And then what are you going to do about your bench? Like, you have to. One thing about the Atlanta Hawks that was underrated about us last year was our bench was decent. It was plenty of times to where our offense from the starters were not clicking, and guys from off the bench had to come and help. But you definitely are losing bench pieces. You're losing chemistry. You're losing camaraderie with these picks. You're losing picks. You're losing players, capital. You're going all in with this young core. But my goodness, 1 or 2 injuries and you're done again. Like, you're done. For real. Because you don't have assets and you don't have players. You're done. Be careful. But, of course, this was all just speculation. The Memphis Grizzlies have said they want to build around Ja and Triple J. We'll see if it stays that way. But peace and blessings to you all, Hawks fans, and to you all,